Yo, what is good, everyone? It's been a long day. It's crazy. It's been a long day, and it's 6 o'clock. It's been a long day, and it's 6 o'clock. Sometimes you have days like that. I'm glad I was able to get on here and get this live off yesterday. Just things came up, so I apologize. Didn't do the show yesterday, but we here today. We're gonna get it in. We're gonna cover some topics. As always, I'm Marcus, and here we do attorney reactions to trending news and current events. And I give my attorney take and reaction on these topics, and more importantly, I chime in to see what y'all have, what thoughts you all have on this content as co-counsel. So we got a few stories before we get to the Tiffany Henyard story. One is I'm 100% sure it's illegal, but it might not necessarily be a bad idea. But I don't want to jade everybody. We'll get to that, and let me get your take before I don't want to jade your view by giving my take on it too soon. We'll get to that story. As always, hey, infotainment purposes, not legal advice, all of that good stuff. I hope everybody is out there having a good weekend. Hopefully your Saturday is going smooth. We supposed to be getting snow next week, so I brought some damn snow salt. And another thing that I will or will not be doing is, hey, telework no longer exists for federal employees, so you should not be lugging your computer back and forth home. If we get a snow day, that's an official day off. I'm just letting y'all know in advance. Don't be out here acting goofy. All right. Oh, it's been a long day and it's only three. God, hey, prayers to you. Get through it. Hey, hopefully the toughest part of the day is behind you. I know, and it's only three. I'm sorry, sis. Hang in there, hang in there. Hopefully the toughest part of the day is behind you. So let's go ahead. Let's get these stories up. Now these stories are interesting. We got, I want to say, local, federal, Henyard is the model that we're going to follow today. Not too long of a story. Let's see, 2, 6, 9, 13. All of our videos, we talking less than 20 minutes. Let's go ahead and dive in and get into our first video. I got an interesting take on this one as well, but let's go ahead and check it out. Come on, what's going on with my
current on her debt payments and says she agrees with
this is-
RRA.
Oh man, I think I jacked it up. No, I didn't want to get to Mayor Kobe Bryant. You're second. Let's see if I could. All right, I got it all jacked up.
Time has officially run out for
now I'm struggle streaming. All right. Let me give y'all a little background, okay? I used to work for an inspector general that essentially found fraud, waste, and abuse in the TARP program. Now, what is the TARP program? The TARP program is the Trouble Asset Relief Program. I don't know if y'all remember the housing crisis of '08 when housing prices plummeted. Well, during that time, people who had houses were like crazy upside down because they were giving out these ninja mortgages, no income, no job, no assets, and they'll still give you a mortgage. But then you had people who they had a house that they paid $500,000 for that was worth $200,000. And so people were upside down. So during this time, the federal government gave a as with anything, even with the pandemic, anytime something happened, the federal government throw a bunch of borrowed money at it. So the federal government threw a bunch of money at the states, and the states created these programs that allowed people to stay in their homes. Now, these programs, hey, as somebody who investigated them and prosecuted and identified fraud, waste, and abuse, like everything, when the government throw out money relatively fast, the programs suck ass. I ain't gonna say the program suck ass. I'll say the policing of the program suck ass. So it's very, very ripe for fraud. So one of the things that were allowed at that time is, let's say you had a mortgage, right? You got a mortgage with a financial institution with whoever. Let's say, I don't know, Rocket Mortgage. Shout out to Rocket Mortgage. You got a mortgage with Rocket Mortgage, right? You can't pay your mortgage because of the housing crisis, you lost your job, whatever it is. you can apply to a state program that receives federal funding that will pay your mortgage for you for 6 months, 12 months. Some of these things were paying people mortgages for 18, 20 months. It was crazy. Here's where it's get wild. The qualifications to get in this program had no bearing in most states, not all states, because the federal government passed the money to the states. The states created their own program, and some states created good programs, which with good language to make sure the money went to people who need it. Very rare. Most states just created a program. I seen the case, I lied to you not, where a person was getting mortgage assistance to pay for their mortgage on their home that was like $1.2 million. And because of this state, y'all can probably guess what state it is. Y'all can guess in the comments what state it is. Because the way the state created their program and wrote the guidelines to it, it had no bearing on how much money you actually had. So these people had a $1.2 million home. They said they couldn't pay their mortgage because the husband lost his job. In his checking account, I want to say this dude had like $175,000. Then in his savings account, he maybe had like $250,000. But because the way the rules were written, long as he lost his job and long as he qualified for unemployment, he was able to get his rent paid, his mortgage paid for like a year. So these are the type of programs that are out there. I needed to give y'all that background before we jumped into this story, just so y'all can understand what's going on and the concept of around this story. Now, this not necessarily tied to the TARP program, but it's the same program. So in that scenario, you have a mortgage with Rocket Mortgage. You can't pay your mortgage. Rocket Mortgage can do a loan modification. It's called a proprietary modification because it's their modification. They'll modify the terms of the loan to something that may be a little bit more favorable to allow you to pay. But those companies were incentivized to offer a government modification first. And if a person qualified for the government modification, they had to offer that one first. Now, a person could decline it, but they were obligated to offer it to them first. So that's kind of the background and concept. Before we jump in this story, let's get it.
Officially run out for hundreds of Richmond tenants who aren't taking advantage of a second chance repayment plan. We're told some residents owe between $10,000 and $34,000. Now city officials are moving forward with lease enforcement against them after a 3-week pause because of the water crisis. 8 News reporter Jamal Williams joins us live outside of the Housing Authority building. So Jamal, how will this upcoming lease enforcement work?
Well, Deanna, I spoke with RRHA CEO Stephen Nesmuth, who says residents have 30 days to pay off all the money they owe or be removed from their homes. I spoke with one resident who was current on her debt payments and says she agrees with RRHA moving forward with lease enforcement for those who aren't paying their rent.
Either you're going to handle the business or the business is going to handle you.
Strong words from Richmond tenant Charlene Riley, who says residents facing possible eviction from the Richmond Redevelopment and Housing Authority must be held accountable for their actions.
People need housing, and we can't just keep sitting around giving people chances when it's people that's experiencing homelessness and stuff. And, you know, it's not a lot of affordable housing.
RRHA is moving forward with lease enforcement after a 3-week pause due to the water crisis in January. CEO Stephen Nesmith says 378 residents now have 30 days to pay back what they owe or leave their units.
We also made tons and tons of phone calls, phone banking, and some residents said, stop calling me, stop knocking on my door. Well, you know, with a huge waiting list, with thousands of people on waiting lists who are saying, RHA, I can make that minimum payment.
Riley started the program with more than $2,000 in rent debt. Since August, she's cleared nearly $700 and is grateful this opportunity has worked for her.
I felt like the program worked because I made it work, and I was committed to making sure that I get these things done.
Now, these people won't be completely kicked to the curb. RRHA says they're working with organizations like Caritas and Containment of Care to house these people who are being evicted.
All right, now this is in Richmond, and shout out to the young lady in the interview because she is the example of how government funding for hardship situations should work. maybe this is just me. I don't know. Maybe I'm biased. I don't know. Y'all call me y'all could call me a so I just think it's crazy for someone to be on government assistance for 3, 4, 5 generations. That shit is absolutely insane. I think that I get it. People need government assistance. Hey, you're talking to somebody who had powdered eggs as a kid and the peanut butter that was in a can with all the thick ass oil that would rip your bread to shreds. I get it. But government assistance should be something that's a supplement. So, for example, year one, you should get, let's say the government assistance is free housing and $1,000 a month. Let's just use easy numbers. Free housing, $1,000 a month. Year one that you're on the program, you get your free housings and you get $1,000 a month. Year two that you're on the program, you get your free housing and you get $800 a month. Year three, free housing, $700 a month. Year four, the amount that you get should decrease over a certain period of time, because while you're receiving the benefits, you should be doing something productive to increase your job skills, your ability to earn, all of those type of things. That's always been my take. So shout out to that lady in the story, because she was like, yo, I'm grateful for the program because I worked the program so that she was able to pay her money. Now you got a bunch of people who had some type of modification to their rent made who owe $10,000, $30,000 and they can't make the payment. But a lot of them, like they said, just aren't making the payment because they know that they aren't getting kicked out. A crazy waste of tax dollars. That's my personal opinion. I don't like to see nobody homeless, but hey, in the world that we live in, you got to hold your own weight. I agree that some people need help. And like the lady in the video, she took advantage of her help and made her help work for her. That's kind of my take on that. We're going to get to that. Let's pivot to this next story, because this next story is a little bit more interesting. It's about another mayor. Are you all familiar with Mayor Kobi, as he likes to call himself? It's yet another example of a relatively young black mayor and a black municipality just allegedly doing the wrong thing and just looking ridiculous. This story is actually kind of crazy. Let's go ahead, dive in. Y'all let me know what y'all think in the comments. Let's turn and pivot, talk a little bit about maybe Mayor Kobi, as he likes to refer to himself.
He was flying high, no lie.
So distressed and disappointed.
This Georgia mayor says that he runs the blackest city in America, but he's allegedly been balling on the city's dime and going viral for it.
You took your black behind over to Africa for 20 days and didn't tell anybody.
City leaders are on his tail. Finance reports showing that he's been using his city account to book $1,000 trips to Ghana, Paris, luxury furniture for his office, and more.
Ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous.
That's shameful.
And enough to launch an investigation. What he's been saying about these purchases.
I do think that there is a lot of political posturing.
And why he walked out of a city council meeting last week.
Good night, Mr. Mayor.
I'm Justin Carter. This is TSR Investigates. But he goes by Mayor Kobi. It's a name that's been synonymous with drama for years now. He prides himself, ever since he took office, with being the mayor of one of the blackest cities in America, South Fulton, Georgia. It's a south suburb of Atlanta. About 92% of the population is black. And he's been viral before. 2 years ago, he was arrested for entering somebody's private lake house. He said back then that he admired the home. He was just looking inside in hopes of maybe buying it one day.
What? He went window shopping for a house and went in some random ass person's yard.
He was charged with criminal trespass. But now a resident came forward. She filed a FOIA request, a Freedom of Information request, to look into Mayor Kobi's spending habits. And what you might learn may surprise you.
We were blindsided.
There's accountability that has to be made.
Taxpayers in this small Atlanta metro city are not happy.
Somebody is covering it up.
After it was revealed that City Mayor Kobi, formerly known as Mayor Khalid Kamal,
has been spending. City policy says that he can't spend more than $10,000 per month on his city credit card, also known as the P card. But check this out. In June, WSB-TV Atlanta investigative reporter Ashley Lincoln, she uncovered that Mayor Kobi spent a stack on a trip to Paris. Documents showing that his chief of staff, Yusuf Atway, was also there. We've learned that the mayor is not allowed to do that, take employees on these types of trips. In September, he spent $9,896.51 on travel, including flight upgrades. And in October, over $13,000 that included 2 Ethiopia airline trips. That was over $2,300 a piece. The mayor went, and somebody else named Danielle did too.
So distressed and disappointed.
After weeks of public scrutiny, fireworks in a city council meeting last week.
The blackest city in the United States of America is heading into Black History Month.
Man, what the hell does that got to do with anything?
With its all black council tearing each other down.
That makes me sick. We see this a lot. Every story we talk about, where there's a black mayor or a woman mayor, when people do stuff wrong, they always play the card that they have. Your blackness has nothing to do with your black ass taking all of these trips on the government's dime, allegedly. It's just annoying and tired.
Do you think that there is a lot of political posturing?
Mayor, I really was going to let this go, but I can't continue to sit here and allow you to make it seem like we're the villains and you're the victim. We're not tearing you down. You took your black behind over to Africa for 20 days and didn't tell anybody. No, he called us a blacker city, and that was disrespectful. We keep telling him that.
I just beg you to find another path. You are making the people in this city's government suffer.
City council members also revealing that Mayor Kobi has 112 receipts that were also not uploaded within the 72-hour window required, which violates city purchase card policy. Total unauthorized expenses tallied so far, $26,000. At last Tuesday's city council meeting, Mayor Kobi not happy about the words fired against him. And after public comment, he left.
This meeting began at 4 p.m. with a timed agenda. An approximated agenda to end at 9 o'clock. I do have a hard stop at 9 o'clock, so I will turn it over to our Mayor Pro Tem, Linda Pritchett.
Good night, Mr. Mayor. Somebody's got to stand up and put this to bed, or we're going to be on the news all the time. We're going to be on the news. So you all are accountable. You all are.
The trips weren't all. WSB-TV also reported that he spent $1,800 on this office table that converts to a pool table. There were also power station charges on there for his electric vehicle, as well as other electronics. Now, as far as that trip to Ghana, Mayor...
All right, so this dude, let's talk about Mayor Kobi. He fucking up. Mayor Kobi is under scrutiny, has been arrested. That's a video I saw a couple days ago, maybe about a week ago. He was arrested, but under investigation and law enforcement scrutiny for his excessive spending. This is something that we're seeing, and I'm going to be fair every time that I do cover it. Yes, I know. It's always a mayor who is of the black or brown persuasion. It happens through other races, but hey, I'm gonna highlight the stories that my audience want to see, that they point out to me. But local politicians are generally bad ones, are generally doing the exact same thing. They think they can run their municipalities with an iron fist, with no velvet glove around it. They think that they can unilaterally spend without the appropriate authorization. And this is just a consistent pattern that we are seeing throughout. This is a consistent pattern we're seeing throughout local municipalities, especially when we seem to highlight the mayors who are in the communities that look like us. It's just ridiculous. So this is going to be interesting where this ends up. But I anticipate that we'll see Fulton County, we'll see the town in Fulton getting more highlights because of this mayor and his conduct. Because Mayor Kobi is definitely not exercising the Mamba mentality when it comes to how he should run a municipality. Now, let's take a quick pivot because this next story is one that is interesting. This story right here, we saw someone who is being investigated, charged with a crime. Now, here's a pivot to the federal land. We're going to talk about what should happen with migrants who are here illegally, who are charged with a crime. And one country gave us an option. Let's talk about this option. Is this option a good one or a bad one? Y'all let me know in the comments, good or bad.
On Secretary of State Marco Rubio's whirlwind tour of Latin America, a potentially unprecedented offer from the president of El Salvador.
He has agreed to accept for deportation any illegal alien in the United States who is a criminal from any nationality, be they MS-13 or Tren de Aragua, and house them in his jails.
President Nayib Bukele revealing more in a post on X, offering the U.S., quote, the opportunity to outsource part of its prison system in exchange for a fee. And it's not just for people who are in the U.S. illegally.
He has offered to house in his jail.
All right, so let's talk about this first part of it before we get to the second part of the vehicle. Okay. The president of this foreign country is, and I don't know if y'all been keeping up with the news, but there were some instances where ICE went out and did their thing. They arrested persons who were here illegally, targeting those who were charged with crimes or had a criminal background, and put them on a plane, shot them across to their country, and a couple of their countries was like, nah, bruh, y'all can't land y'all plane here. And as soon as they said that, you seen a little beef where Trump was like, oh, if we can't land that plane there, we're going to tariff the hell out of you and put all these extra taxes and excises on your goods and services that come out of there. And eventually they was like, okay, land your plane here. But the president of this country is saying, hey, you all got a problem. We're willing to take on your problem. And our super max prison facility, I think it holds $40,000. We'll see 40,000 persons. We'll see later on in the video. We'll take any migrant that's convicted or charged with a violent crime that you got, no matter where they're from, and we will house them for a fee. Do you all think that that's generally a good idea or a bad idea? Y'all let me know what y'all think. Y'all let me know what y'all think in the comments. That's funny. A Netflix documentary. It's coming. It's one coming. Y'all let me know. Y'all think that's a good idea or a bad idea? In theory, I think it sounds like a good idea. Okay, we have illegal bad guys who have criminal conduct charges passed, and we want to send them to you all, but send them to this country for a fee. I'm not really a fan of that, because if you were the president of a country, you're the president of the country, and you say, look, DFD, I hold all your bad guys for you, but I'm going to hold them for a small fee. I pay you the fee. I send my bad guys to you. You hold them. Let's say you hold X bad guy A for 10 years. What are you going to do when bad guy A gets out? Are you going to let bad guy A stay in your country? Or are you going to ship his ass back to me or ship him back home? What? I think it sounds like a good idea, but I think it's a bad idea in theory, because the other thing too is like, no, a person should be accepted by the country that they originated from. And I don't like the idea of being strong-armed to pay someone else to house people. That just doesn't make sense to me. I think it's a general bad idea. I agree as well with you, Pretty Eyes. I don't know. I think it's a bad idea. Let me see. I'm a Mexican myself who had an immigrant parent. I don't care if the criminals go, but I do have sympathy for the ones who just want a better life for their kids. But therein lies the problem. I think everybody. I don't care. I think most people want most criminals gone. I don't even give a damn if they from here, if they was born here. If there's a way you could punt out most criminals, people would generally probably be all on board for that, I think. What's going on, Kenneth? I appreciate you tuning in. This is fair too. Hey, this is fair too. It's too many what ifs. That's the big issue for me. But that's a good point. But I agree with that. Therein lies the problem. I think generally everybody like, oh man, if they're a bad person, let's get them out of here. I don't think you're going to try to find a big pushback with that. The problem lies when ICE does a sweep and pick up 30 people, and of the 30 people, 7 of them are bad actors. And then the remaining 23 have been here for 10 years, paying taxes and doing all these other things. And there's no method to flush out the two. There's nobody to say, oh, well, okay, this one, bad actor, good actor, shitbag, good actor. So I think, I agree with you. That's kind of what it is. Let's see. You know, I don't know. It's interesting. Now, let's see what else they're offering. So we got that the president of El Salvador is offering to house to house migrants who are here illegally, who have criminal past, criminal charges. But let's see what else he's willing to offer. I thought this was interesting.
X, offering the U.S., quote, the opportunity to outsource part of its prison system in exchange for a fee. And it's not just for people who are in the U.S. illegally.
He has offered to house in his jails dangerous American criminals in custody in our country, including those of U.S. citizenship and legal residence.
So the president of El Salvador was like, not only will we host the bad criminals who are migrants and who are in your country, we will house the criminals who are U.S. citizens who are bad. Now, y'all let me know. I'll tell you, it's illegal, okay? It's illegal. I'm not an expert in international law, but generally, the general rule, I did work at the State Department before, so I'm not unfamiliar, but generally, if a U.S. citizen is incarcerated abroad, it's because they've been charged or convicted with a crime abroad. It's actually crazy illegal, and it sounds wild. Like someone commits homicide here, and we're like, you know what? We're gonna send you over to El Salvador just because we don't even want to deal with you. El Salvador is offering to house U.S. citizens who are convicted of criminal crimes. Completely illegal. It's probably the most illegal thing ever. But I will tell you, if that was on the table, I feel fairly confident that violent crimes would go down. I think that violent crimes would go down a tick. If a person commits a violent crime, they're going to be housed over in a foreign prison. Man, people would think twice. I mean, people would still do stupid shit, but I think people would think twice. You won't have any access to your family. You won't have any access to link up with persons who may be in the same. You're going to be a sole outlier over there. You're not going to be familiar with the language. Like, crime would decrease exponentially, honestly, in my opinion. Even though it's completely illegal, you can't do it. But I think that's a very interesting take. Let's go and finish watching the rest of the story. Then we're going to chop it up and move
dangerous American criminals in custody in our country, including those of U.S. citizenship and legal residence. No country's ever made an offer of friendship such as this.
But that offer, especially to take U.S. citizens, raising major concerns.
It's a non-starter to talk about deporting U.S. citizens.
That's
point
crazy.
Blank unlawful.
Unless someone has committed a crime abroad, extensive constitutional and legal protections exist to prevent that in most cases. And for citizens of other countries apprehended here, regulations are still in place.
They have to follow the very strict requirements Congress has laid out, which means an agreement between the U.S. and El Salvador, but also an absolute guarantee that those individuals will be safe in El Salvador from danger, persecution, and torture.
Rubio today acknowledging it's unclear if such an action would be legal.
Obviously, we'll have to study it on our end. There are obviously legalities involved. We have a constitution, we have all sorts of things, but it's a very generous offer.
That offer would put convicted criminals in President Bukele's notorious mega prison, known as the Terrorism Confinement Center. Built by Bukele to house alleged members of gangs that had once helped make El Salvador one of the most...
Could you imagine, like, I do some dumb shit, right? I do some dumb shit as a U.S. citizen, and I go over there, and I be the darkest brother in there, don't know the language. Like crime would decrease exponentially if that was actually on the table. But I don't know. I thought that was an interesting story. I'm generally not a fan of either option. If we start getting rid of bad guys, who are here illegally, who have crimes in their past, and paying another country to take them, to me, that's I feel like we kind of being punked. Like, why we got to pay y'all when, like, if somebody came over here illegally and committed an assault or a homicide or something like that, like, I don't know. I feel like we would be held hostage and obligated to pay. And once you start paying for one thing, where does that shit ever end? That's kind of my take. Let's see how many famous people. It ain't gonna be no famous people there. Nah, you won't see Diddy. They might put Diddy there as an example once he convicted. Let's see. The saddest part of this jam up is I never voted to pay for illegals with my taxes. I want the citizens of this country to come first. Hey, I feel you. On another totally different note, did you see Michael Jordan's son get arrested? Ran his Lamborghini down on some train tracks. Yeah, Michael Jordan's son, it's terrible too that he's normally as Marcuses, we try to make better decisions. But like, I don't know. When I saw he was dating Scottie Pippen's ex-wife, I was like, oh, goofy alert. But I did see that video, and he tried to throw his dad's name out there as if it was going to curry him some good favor. But can I say this respectfully? Like, I can say that. I feel like I could say this respectfully. I don't know what Jordan's other son is doing, but Marcus Jordan is like, I mean, just to me, y'all let me know y'all take. This dude, like, there's YouTube videos out here where this dude like just snorting cocaine at the pool. And last I checked, he had his employment was owning a shoe shop that was they showed custom, authentic, and rare Jordans. Like, I just don't know. Like, it's terrible because he actually wasn't bad at basketball in college, but like, this is just me. I feel like he took the opportunity that he was given based on his birth position on this planet, and he absolutely did not capitalize on it. Like, hey, he's gonna be straight because he's Michael Jordan's son, so he is going to be the heir to $1 billion. But I felt like he didn't do anything to move it forward. One thing I would want my kids to do, right? And I know it doesn't happen statistically. If I have $1 million at the time I pass away, statistically, my kids is going to blow 70% of it. That's just statistically the thing. But you generally want your kids to take whatever it is you gave them or left them and them gems and those opportunities and capitalize on it so they could put you in a better position. So they could put the family in a better position. And I feel like Marcus Jordan haven't done anything productive with the opportunity that he's been given, in my personal opinion. Send Daryl Brooks straight to El Salvador. Fair. Let's see. Florida Governor DeSantis. Let's see. Yeah, MS-13. Yep, MS-13 does. What would keep them from shipping anyone they just wanted to get rid of over there? I mean, nothing really. I just think once you get into we're going to pay you to house these people who've committed a crime and shouldn't be here anyway, I think that's a slippery road to go down. And if they had 100 persons sent down there and it was time for them to get out, when they get out, you think those 100 people are going to be citizens of El Salvador? The options are going to be send them to wherever their country of origin is, or send them back to the United States. And I don't know. I just feel like that shouldn't be some shit that we paying people for. Like, pay y'all to house them? Like, nah. How about we just send everybody, all the gang members we find that are from El Salvador to El Salvador, and you do it for free because that's what it is. That's kind of my take on it. Let's see. Oh, sub for the comment section. I know I had to put the sub thing on because the chat was getting too crazy. It was too many people in the chat. And I couldn't read all that shit. I was like, man, it's too much shit to read. as long as they send Diddy with the GoPro, because that would be the greatest reality show ever. Yeah. You can't do that to a U.S. citizen. I think we generally agree that, I'm not an international immigration, citizenship, constitutional expert, but no, if I commit a crime, the Constitution still applies to me. And that's the other thing. When these people go over there, like, you think these people gonna go over there and El Salvador gonna be like, yeah, we're gonna make sure we taking care of it. Y'all ever see the show Locked Up Abroad? Y'all ever watch that shit? I watched Locked Up Abroad. It's always American citizens who are trying to traffic or smuggle drugs 99% of the time. Getting locked up abroad is not a good. I worked at the State Department and dealt with people who got locked up abroad. That shit is not sweet. You do not want to get. You generally don't want to get locked up, period. But you definitely don't want to get locked up in like fucking Honduras or some shit. Hell nah. That shit is crazy. Oh yeah, Hunter Biden. He blew more than 70%. I don't know if that's a double entendre. So he blew more 70% of the cash, or he blew more than 70%. Never mind. I don't know. We get it. Nah, nothing. We just going through some stories. We didn't even get on the main story. What's going on, Justin? I appreciate you tuning in. Let's see. Okay, we could work that out on the moderator side of the game. I know I used to have guests on the show. Like every Friday. And always the best shows were always when we talk about interesting topics. One of my homegirls, Jasmine Janae, she got a pretty dope YouTube channel. Lifestyle. She tracking her fitness journey and all that over there. Shout out to her. But we did some interesting topics where we talked about the rules of getting flued out. When you fly a girl out, what are the rules that you have to abide by? So yeah, we that's definitely on the table. All right, let's go ahead, pivot. We got one last story we're gonna talk about before we get to what's going on with Tiffany Henyard. Let me go ahead and cue this up. What is going on? Do I got like net zero?
Welcome back. We have lots of breaking news out of Washington. Let's get down to Eamon Javers for the details. Eamon?
Kelly, there's a lot going on here. The first thing is that a federal judge up in Boston has now issued a temporary injunction blocking that so-called fork in the road effort by Elon Musk and the Doge team to offer a deferred resignation to federal employees in September. The deadline for accepting that offer was supposed to be today, but now the federal judge is saying that at least until Monday, that offer is going to be suspended, giving both sides in a lawsuit over the issue a chance to marshal their arguments and the judge a chance to hear them all out. There was a lawsuit filed by federal employee unions, and the unions were arguing that this was not only unfair but illegal under what's called the Anti-Deficiency Act, which means that the federal government can't obligate any funds that haven't been appropriated by Congress. The judge saying he's going to take his time to look through all those issues. So this will be held up at least until Monday, and federal employees are now expected to get a notice from their employers telling them that the fork in the road so-called offer is now on hold, I guess is the best way to put it, until Monday. Separately, NBC News.
All right, so long story short, fork in the road was offered. For the channel members, official co-counsel actually did a members only live stream. I think it was on Monday, where I talked about specifically what my reaction was to the fork in the road. Some things you got to put behind the paywall because I don't want it to look too crazy to anybody just to see. But but long story short, some time ago, about a week ago, all federal employees got an email. Everybody lost their damn mind, and they essentially said, yo, you can resign now and get 8 months of pay and benefits and just be on administrative leave. And generally, you don't have to do shit. Or in the alternative, if you stay, we thank you for your services, but your ass might get laid off. It might be a furlough. It might be a RIF, a reduction in force. The choice is up to you. You got this option or this option. Choose wisely. And so everybody lost their damn mind. And then the question came up of, well, is this offer something that can legally be offered? Okay. Now, I will tell you, hold on, let me see real quick. Let's see. I'll give you my take. Let me go ahead and get through this commentary real quick. Let me give you the commentary real quick, and we're gonna talk about U.S. aid because I got an opinion on that as well. But so generally, the question that a lot of people are saying of, does this offer, or is this a legal offer that can be made? I mean, it's questionable. This isn't uncommon. I don't know if you all recall, but in the 90s, President Clinton offered federal government employees a buyout. I think he gave them something like $25,000 for them to leave early. So it's definitely not something that hasn't happened before. The only thing that's different is when President Clinton did that, he actually had to get legislation passed. It was bipartisan. Democrats and Republicans both agreed to it. They passed the bill, and it allowed for him to kind of give his version of the fork in the road back in the 90s. So this one is a little bit different. The biggest issue and the point of argument is that Congress has the power of the purse to control what payments go out. The budget, right now, we're operating on a continuing resolution, which means that they ain't even come up with a budget. They just kick the damn can down the road. But long story short, Congress already has funds allocated, and they don't have funds allocated specifically to pay people for 8 months who take this offer. The last thing I saw, if I'm not mistaken, I think it was 40,000 people, 2% of the federal workforce has already taken this offer. Now, this is where it gets interesting, okay? There's been a lot of emails. First, the offer came out, then another email came out that had questions and answers. It's just because it's being done in such an odd way without congressional approval, everybody has questions. So every other day, OPM is sending out emails updating people. The last email that was sent out was an email that says, by taking this offer or accepting this offer, you hereby waive your legal rights. Now, I will tell you, this is not all the time true. Okay, it's not all the time true. But generally, if there's an offer on the table and there's language that says, by accepting this, you are waiving your legal rights. I'm not saying in every case, but for me personally, I think somebody about to screw me over without any dinner. like if somebody like, hey, you can take this. I've literally been in a situation where, hey, we're going to have to let you go. But in lieu of your service, here's a severance package. Now, if you take this severance package, you have to sign this NDAs and waive all of your legal rights to any causes of action you may have. As soon as I see that language, this is just me. As soon as I see that language, I think it's something in there that makes me think that you're trying to fuck me. That's just my general idea. So a judge essentially put it on pause to look at the legalities of this. It's going to be interesting how this plays out. My personal opinion is I just got to look at historically what has been done. Buyouts are something that have happened before, but the instance where it happened before, it was congressional approval. So I think this is probably going to fall that same way. If y'all want to know my take on it, how it applied personally, y'all going to have to go check it out, become a channel member to check out that video. But that's just kind of my take on it. Now, let me address this U.S. aid, okay? Now, there are two things can be right. Okay. Something can serve a purpose that's a legitimate purpose, and something can also have some BS attached to it. So two things can be right. We're so caught up in it's either this side or that side, but no. On some instances, both sides can be right. So every government entity, government program has fraud, waste, and abuse. Now, I will tell you, I'm completely confused. I'm confused as hell as how I'm confused as to how Doge is evaluating fraud, waste, and abuse. You're talking to somebody who worked for years in the federal inspector general community. You have investigations, you have audits, you have inspections and evaluations. Audits and inspection and evaluations are the units within an inspector general office who looks at a government entity, who looks at a program, and they evaluate that program from head to toe to figure out where are the pitfalls, where's money being wasted. So that takes months to do. If someone said, "Hey, I want you to go look at the Department of the Army," we all agree. I mean, if you don't agree, you might be wilding, but we all generally agree that the Department of the Army is probably wasting a lot of fucking money, more money than any other government agency there is. But there typically is an audit done of the program. This may take 6 months, 8 months, 12 months, where they actually review the program. So I'm a little confused as to how Doge with like 4 people go and say, okay, y'all are not using money correctly without an audit of the program being done. Or even if they didn't do their own audit, maybe if they used an old inspector general's audit as their findings. Because after audit is done, the inspector general will make recommendations. Hey, we audited your shit and it's jacked up. Y'all hemorrhaging money like nothing we've ever seen before. Y'all need to do this, and this. They'll lay out a plan that y'all need to do to cure all of this shit. So I'm confused as to how Doge is just going in places saying, yeah, y'all overspending without looking at some type of audit or conducting their own. We know they aren't conducting their own because it takes a shitload of people to do an audit of an organization or a program that has hundreds of millions of dollars passing through it. So that kind of confuses me in general. But U.S. aid, I think, is twofold. I think the first part is every government organization and program has some type of waste. I think that's 100% true, no matter where you look. But I do see how U.S. aid has a value. And I'm thinking of it from I'm an ex-military guy. I'm thinking of it from a military standpoint. To be effective, to have an effective thumbprint nationally, you have to be the iron fist in the velvet glove. If you're just an iron fist and you're stomping on everybody with your military, that's probably not going to be the most effective way of doing it. You got to be the iron fist in the velvet glove. You got to be able to stomp on the motherfucker head, but you got to have a little bit of gamesmanship to be able to, hold your hand out and let an op touch it and say like, oh, they're not really going to stomp me. This is actually nice, and I think that's the purpose that U.S. aid serves for the most part, even though, again, I think all agencies have some waste. Humanitarian efforts are a way to put your thumbprint and lean on people without always using your military. I could go in there and just easily just kick you in your nuts with my military and get what I want. But I could also say, you know what? Y'all over here starving. I'm going to give y'all some grain. I'm going to give y'all some health supplies. But when I circle back and need some shit, it is going to get done. Is in the words of gangsters on movies, you can either get down or lay down. U.S. aid, I think their primary function is like, hey, we're not going to come take your block from you, Mr. Drug Dealer. We're going to offer you an opportunity to work with us while we take your block. Or if you don't want to do that, we're going to just come in here and knock your head off your shoulders. And so I think that two things are true. I think that every government program has fraud, waste, and abuse. But I do think that there is a purpose for U.S. aid and the type of work they do to put the U.S. thumbprint on the overall global space without having to stomp everybody's head. That's my personal take. I don't know. Y'all let me know what y'all think. Let me see. Oh, it's going to be posts for sure. It's going to be posts for sure. I don't agree that some IGs, when they got rid of those 14 inspector generals, I talked to people in the community, and a lot of people were like, those people were dinosaurs and need to go. Generally, I'm just not a fan of anybody sitting in one post for a long ass time. I think if you sit in one post for a long ass time, it's going to get complacent. I think the same way government programs have fraud, waste, and abuse, inspector generals aren't always the most efficient. They have a method for conducting and investigating inspector generals. So I agree with that statement. I don't think that all inspector generals are created equally. I think that some do great work. I think that some are complacent and don't do great work. But what I do agree with, so I don't necessarily disagree with that point, but if an inspector general is tasked with doing an audit of a program, I don't see any way how DOJ can come in and audit an organization and identify the fraud, the waste, and abuse. To identify fraud, waste, and abuse and to do it effectively, yes, you can just go in and say, yo, y'all wasting money, so we shutting y'all down. Would that be true? Yeah, because everybody, if I go through y'all budget right now, if I pulled up everybody budget right now, I'm going to see some, oh man, I'm always going to see some areas where like, yo, why y'all eating out 5 times a week? Everybody budget is going to have something in it that's imperfect. That's just kind of the nature of what it is. I just can't understand how, I understand how, but it just logically doesn't make sense to say that, oh, there's waste being done here and you can't identify the specific area and the process of the services that they're performing. I'm just a process guy. That's me. When I get a job and I start somewhere working, yeah, what I'm doing, I understand what I'm doing, but I actually created it because most organizations don't have it. I'll create like a flow chart because I want to see what the process is, what happens before it gets to me, what happens after it gets to me. And once you identify the process, then it goes from A to B, B to C, C to D, D to E. And it should take this amount of time to go from A to B, this amount of time to go from B to C. Once you got the process laid out, then you can pinpoint each step in the process. And really, if you really want to get rid of employees and see where the waste is being done, you have to do an audit where you're looking at the process. Because now you can find, okay, in this process, this division right here, this group of people, you are the bottleneck in the process. You are where the waste is coming from. That's just kind of my take on it. Let me see. Hey, I appreciate it. I appreciate that. Let's see. I like that. When I remember being in Kuwait, and I was in 2003. I was one of the first people to go to Iraq. 2003, we were like the first field artillery unit in theater, like brand new. This was when Iraq still had an army and they hadn't capitulated yet. Like, so it was like really like real shit. It was like real war, no tents, like real shit. You had to like have your battle buddy look out for you while you took a deuce in the sand to make sure you didn't get shot. And I remember being in Kuwait, they had contractors who were military contractors with, I think it was Brown and Root is the company. Correct me if I'm wrong, vets out there, Harley, but I think it was Brown and Root. They had contractors who were working in the cafeteria in Kuwait. And Kuwait is like being in downtown Dallas. Like Kuwait is nothing. It's not like literally there's no threat of danger in Kuwait. That's just what it was. They had contractors washing dishes, civilian contractors who was washing dishes, and they were making like over $100,000 as contractors, making over $100,000. And if I'm not mistaken, correct me if I'm wrong, I think at that time, was it the first, if you were a civilian in theater, I want to say, was it the first $100,000 or $120,000 of money that you made were tax free because you were in theater as a civilian. So the military waste a lot of money. Like if antennas on Amazon cost $30, the military is probably paying like 10 times that for the same antennas. So that I don't know. That's my thing. If you want to make a big if you want to make a big thumbprint on identifying fraud, waste, and abuse, I wouldn't start with USAID. I understand why they started with USAID because you need a test pilot, and I think USAID was initially created through an executive order. So there may have been some thought that, hey, let's try this one out first. But if you really want to get a big thumbprint, go after the agencies with the two biggest budgets, the Department of Defense and HHS. They have the two biggest budgets in the United States that Congress has allocated billions of dollars to. That's what you want to reduce spending and fraud, waste, and abuse. Look at those organizations. That's crazy as hell. Yeah, but yeah, that happens. It happens all the time. What's going on, Lady Luck? I appreciate you tuning in. When you were there in 2003, were the Iraqis still in Kuwait? Nah, they weren't. They weren't there. It was funny. Well, it wasn't funny, but it's interesting because in 2003 it was called Operation Iraqi Freedom, but it wasn't Operation Iraqi Freedom. It was initially Operation Iraqi Liberation. But they was like, the acronym was oil. They was like, maybe we should change this for the optics. Yeah. Yeah, I felt like, if I'm not mistaken, I think that was right. I felt like the first $100,000 or something like that wasn't taxed. Yeah. Oh, I appreciate it. I appreciate that. Let's see. Yeah. So they out there, they paying a cook. They're not even a cook. They were paying somebody to wash dishes. Some, I don't know, 25-year-old to wash dishes in Kuwait, which is the most non-dangerous shit you could do, wash dishes in Kuwait. And they were paying them like $120,000, and $100,000 of that was tax-free. Like, come on now, really? Like, the shit was ridiculous. That was actually my low-key backup plan. That was actually my backup plan. I don't know. She thinks she's Jasmine Crockett. Jasmine Crockett said something that annoyed me the other day too. I was gonna do a video on it, but I know y'all would have jumped on me in the comments. Y'all have been like, "Oh man, I don't know. This dude might be mad." She did something that pissed me off too. She was on the news and she was talking about Trump. She's going in on Trump. But what I didn't like that she did, she blamed the voters for she said she said something like, because of the voters, we got this guy in office and he's creating all this havoc and chaos and everything. And I'm never a fan of that rhetoric, because I was like, how you gonna blame the voters? The voters vote. He won handedly. Like, I feel like that's just a bad. It's bad to blame the voters, because voters aren't stupid. They're gonna remember that shit. You know what I mean? Like, yo, it's your job to earn people's vote. You have to earn people's vote. But I'm not a fan of her getting on TV and blaming the voters for what everyone is. It's y'all fault that this guy's in office doing everything. Like, is it? A voter could say, well, it's y'all fault for not having a strong candidate. So I'm never a fan of politicians who blame the voters for anything. Oh, Mr. Big Eye. I know those young guys are wild. Yeah, hey, I'm telling you, man. I sometimes I see it, I just be like, exactly. You can't blame the voters. Like, the voters vote. It's your job to earn the votes. Yeah. Oh man, when I was out there in '03, this was before it was like no PX setup or anything like that. Man, when they got the first PX set up, like, I can remember paying. Y'all remember the little portable DVD players you can open up like that? I bought a portable DVD player. Man, they upcharged the fuck out of me for that portable DVD player. And I was watching all sorts of bootleg movie. I would get all the Iraqi contractors who were allowed on base. Yeah, because we generally didn't know their name, but we generally didn't know their name. You just you you would refer to them as Haji. I know it's kind of fucked up, but it is what it is. That's what it was back in 03. And you would just rely on them to be like, yo, give me all. They would get you all the bootleg movies, and the subtitles was all in Arabic. It was kind of wild out there those days. All right, let's go ahead and get to our main story. Let's dive in, see what's going on with Tiffany Henyard. Then we'll just open it up to see what's going on, and we can talk. Let's see. Was that a real picture? Somebody sent me that, and I thought it was hilarious. But was that a real photo, or was that Photoshop? I don't know. Let me know. Was that a real photo, or was that Photoshop? All right, let's go ahead and check out this next story. Let me see if I can get it queued up. Come on, man. Why every time I switch stories, I got the slow circle going?
Thornton Township Board meeting. A lawyer for the board is asking the state to allow them to hold remote meetings for the time being. Township Attorney Michael Delgado sent a letter this week to Illinois Governor Pritzker and Attorney
I'm going to tell y'all, I'm just so confused. It's too many attorneys involved in this shit, and it's fucking confusing. I tried to figure it out like very early on when I first started looking in this shit, and I was looking at Delgado. Then they backed out because they weren't getting paid. Like, I would love to just see all of the representation agreements that every attorney has, so we can really get a clear understanding of what attorney is representing what person and in what particular role or capacity.
General Kwame Raoul this week to Illinois Governor Pritzker and Attorney General Kwame Raoul, asking them for a waiver of the Open Meetings Act that would allow the meetings to be held on Zoom. Delgado says the board believes that given the current political climate in the township, which is led by controversial Dalton Mayor Tiffany Henyard, it would be best that people meet remotely and not in person.
We are concerned not only for the safety of the public, but for reporters who attend, for the elected officials and staff themselves, that there would be a repeat of what occurred last Tuesday, which was a fight. To understate it, it was more than a fight, and it could have been a real catastrophe. And so we're asking for the governor to allow for remote meetings.
The board's attorney is asking for those remote meetings until May 19th, when a newly elected township board will be sworn in. So far, neither the governor nor the AG have responded to
All right, real quick, I want to address some of these comments. I appreciate that, Pretty Eyes, for clarifying that. Okay, Delgado backed out of Dalton, but not the township. Thank you, co-counsel. I appreciate you. Let's see. Does the taxpayers pay for all of Tiffany's attorneys? Generally what happens normally in a normal municipality, if the mayor has a lawsuit against another government entity and it's in their capacity as mayor, it's related to that government job, generally that attorney is going to be billed by the taxpayer. Now, if it's something in her personal capacity, no. But if it's something that arises if it's something that arises within the scope of their duty or questions surrounding their duties, it normally falls as litigation that's going to fall on the taxpayer's back. All right. I got the answer to this one. It says, big question I'm confused towards. There was a recall against Tiff that won but failed due to a technicality. So my question was, there never a corrected recall from the attorney that put together the faulty first recall, as his job was to do that. Mistakes happen, but a professional should correct that mistake. He was unable to correct that mistake, and we did a deep dive into that. Essentially, the court said no. The reason, I'm sure, had the court not said no, they would have redone it, separated the questions so that it would have been less complicated to meet the legal muster. But essentially the court said, nope, y'all had one bite at the apple and y'all fucked it up. So now y'all got to deal with it. So the reason that it wasn't refiled was because the language in the opinion, essentially the judge said, no, y'all can't refile it because there was language based on court cases that allowed a recall to be done against a political appointed official within a certain time frame. And because of that time frame component, because it was already a recall was done and it was jacked up, to redo it would have put it outside of that time frame that the court had articulated in prior cases. So the judge was like, y'all just fucking stuck with her now. So that's kind of how that played out. Hey, I agree. And that would have been one of the smartest things for her to do. We talked about that. Shout out to you, Paul, for remembering that. Because I don't know if you all remember when Gonzalez and Carlisle weren't showing up. I recall exactly what you said, Paul. They wanted to do meetings virtually, and she said no. Had she not said no, literally, if you look at it in hindsight, she actually kind of jammed herself up. Because had she not said no, had she said yes, y'all could do meetings virtually, they would have had no real rationale for not showing up to meetings, even though, they argue safety, which was, I think, a valid point. But she kind of kicked her own self in the ass on that note. Oh yeah, they building the bank. Yeah, Delgado is well entrenched in Illinois politics. Okay, they are well entrenched. Yeah. I went down a Delgado rabbit hole, and I was trying to see if it was enough there to do a video, the type of video I wanted to do, but it wasn't enough, and I was like, it could be borderline libel or slander, so I'm gonna pump my brakes on this one. But they are well entrenched in politics, yeah. But I agree. I think she kicked herself in the ass. She should allow Carmen to do things virtually. Then when they were missing the meetings, the argument would have been, well, I gave y'all permission to do them virtually, so it is what it is. That being said, the letter that was submitted to the Attorney General asking to waive the Open Meetings Act because of the violence and everything that Tiffany Henyard is doing, I think is a fair request. I don't know if it's an actual constitutional request. So that's going to be interesting to see. Yeah, that's going to be interesting to see. Okay, cool. Nice. Oh. Hey man, the older I get, I bring back these throwback terms, man. Oh my goodness, that's crazy. It's too many people doing too many things. Well, let's check out what's going on here. This is interesting, and we probably should do a poll and figure out what is going to be Kamal's next job. Let's check this part out. And I want to give a shout out to, hold on. I borrowed this from AK Cole, I believe. Yeah, because they had it. If somebody got it already pieced up, I'm gonna just use it off their channel. I'm not reinventing the wheel. I'm too tired for that. I got a 9 to 5. I got a 9 to 7, really.
You do everything.
Right. Good evening, everybody. We're going to go ahead and get started. Let's see. I noticed that.
Excuse me.
Could you plug this in right there? Okay, yep, there you go. We thought we lost you for a second. Okay, we would like to call the Thornton Town Board of Trustee meeting for Thursday, February 26th to order, please. February 26th.
4:18 p.m. Trustee Gonzalez.
Present.
Trustee Carlisle. Present. Trustee Lehman. Present.
Okay, we'll do the pledge of allegiance, please. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America. Yeah, motion to come back in.
I'll make a motion to resume the regular board meeting.
I'll second.
Okay, trustee Carlisle? Yes. Trustee Wiedemann?
Yes.
Supervisor Pro Tem Gonzalez?
Yes. Right, so now we are on item 6, action coming out of closed session. Is there a motion?
I would like to make a motion to terminate effective immediately Kamal Woods.
Second. Okay. Trustee Wiedemann?
Yes.
Trustee Carlisle? Yes. Supervisor Pro Tem Gonzalez?
Yes.
Motion passed.
Is there another motion?
I would like to make a motion to terminate effective immediately William Moore.
Second.
Okay.
Can I ask a quick question? What the hell did William Moore do? What was his actual job that he was set to do? At least, I mean, Kamal, whether or not he actually did the job and or was qualified for it, got it. Youth program, which is wild. And you should absolutely be fired if, could you imagine if I worked the youth ministry at the church and I got involved in the fight in the pool pit? That's like the equivalent of what happened. You should absolutely, if you're in charge of the youth ministry, if you're in charge of the youth ministry and you engage in a fight that makes the news, I don't give a damn who you are. I don't give a damn who cheeks you clapping. You should 100% unequivocally be fired and terminated. But oh, he was Tiffany's assistant. Okay, he was Tiffany's assistant. I wonder, do we know what his salary was? It probably was 6 figures because she gave people she fucked with good salaries. Yeah, she gave people she messed with damn good salaries. Let's see. Yeah, I know. It's a company who sold snowballs and made $1 million. Yeah, I don't know what he did. I actually tried to look it up, like, because I wanted to know what he did, and I was 100% confused as to what his actual role was.
Trustee Wiedemann?
Yes.
Trustee Carlisle? Yes. Supervisor Pro Tem Gonzalez?
Yes.
Motion passed.
Right, we have item 7, adjournment. Do we have a motion to adjourn the meeting, or is there anybody have anything else to say?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Trustee Carlisle? Yes.
All right, so they fired both of their asses, which I agree with was the right move, and then they got up out of there. That's funny. He was a pro butt sniffer. That's one of the sayings you can't tell where Tiffany ends and he begins because his nose. So you got some brown stuff on your nose. That's actually hilarious. But I had no clue what he did. I tried to look it up and figure out what the hell his job was, and I was very unsuccessful in doing so. But I think 100% both of those persons should have been terminated, especially the person in charge of the youth ministry. You're in charge of the youth ministry. Hold on, give me 1 second. Okay, so I think 100% both persons should have been terminated. I don't know, and I'm not sure what Kamal did before that, but I'm going to guess that this job he had making 6 figures was probably the highest paying job that he has ever had. Now, I saw somebody in the comments say his next job is going to be to find a new super mayor to give him another job. I think that ship has sailed. I'm not saying he's a I'm not saying he's a. Y'all familiar with the phrase hobosexual, like a guy who like sleeps with women to secure his housing? I'm not saying he's a hobosexual, but it kind of falls in that vein of, hey, someone has to be able to do something for me. Or for all we know, he could have potentially had a no-show job where he didn't have to do much, which is a possibility. And in exchange for that salary, he paid some form of kickback. That's actually a common thing that's done amongst politicians. That's a goddamn shame. You got somebody who's selling drugs to the kids in charge of the kids. God damn. This is Moore was a housing director in Dalton before he got fired. Okay. Well, at least he held some type of government job. Like, say what you want about Keith Price, at least he has governmental experience. So making him the food pantry program manager, if I look at his track record, I'm like, what he's doing is consistent with the type of working, in the government sector. So that's interesting. I did have one other video that I saw that was quite interesting, and it's weird. Like, I don't know how to do this. If content creator A makes a video, but then I view it from content creator B reacting to that video, do I go to the original source or do I don't know. It's kind of confusing. I'm gonna see if I can pull it up real quick. I thought this was interesting as let me see real quick. Let's see. Yeah, he fucked. He screwed. Oh, really? Interesting. Well, if they were business owners, interesting. That's interesting. Now that's a whole nother set of legal questions. Because if they were business owners, they're technically still married. It appears he has no nexus with this business. His employment or income is tied to this job that he was given from engaging in a cheek clapping situation. I'm going to assume wife is handling the business and the business is probably still thriving. That's an interesting question now that, hey, when you marry and you start a business together and when you get separated, how that business is divided up is a really, really big issue. Let us pray. Okay, his wife is a lady that said people were in those chairs with wheels. 2 Will Williams, let us pray. Okay, tracking. What's going on? I appreciate you tuning in. Let's see. Okay. I was like, who the fuck do I go to? He was selling clothing. God damn. He was selling clothing and drugs. Allegedly. That's crazy. Oh, he was in charge of the housing program and the houses. God damn, this just keep getting worse and worse. The more questions I ask, the worse it goes. Interesting. Is that that's interesting. Leticia, let me know if you got a link to that story. That would be interesting. That's interesting. Hey. Okay, Nation Clothing. Interesting. Wow, that'd be crazy. And he hot out of business car wash that him and Tiff live on top of now. Okay. Wow, that's actually crazy. Let me see if I can find this video real quick. Well, actually, since we on people who are being employed, let me go ahead. Hold on. I can stop sharing that. Hold on, I gotta check this. All right, so since we're on the subject of people who are being hired to do things by Tiffany Henyard, I'm gonna bring up this image, and I know as soon as I bring up this image, y'all gonna know exactly who this is. Yeah, I'm sure y'all gonna know who this is because y'all are over it. Y'all are all over it more than me. By the time I tell y'all shit, I'm late to the party. Y'all like, dude, where you been? Dude, where you been at? I see. This is. Hold on. Always come. I'm on a live stream. You're attention hog. All right, let's go ahead and share this screen. We're gonna share this window. Oh shit! I did it and messed it up. Hold on. All right, so we're gonna talk about Mr. Daryl Stroud. Daryl Stroud. Now this is interesting because during the last meeting, his name came up as the new top cop, and this brought me a few things. Okay. Oh, Jed announced it. Okay, this brought up a few things. One, the first thing I thought about was a restraining order that a court had issued to stop Tiffany Henyard from making appointments without going through the process of letting the trustees do their thing. Really, I don't like the fact that they use appointment. It should be she makes nominations, then the trustees confirm or what have you. But this gentleman right here was apparently appointed as the top cop, but there was no discussion because Henyard wasn't there. And shout out to Hannibal is Hungry because I had to clip his images up because it was just the easiest route to go. But this one, this is probably going to show how soft the judges are on Tiffany Henyard because I think this is a violation of the TRO that was in place. And trying to appoint somebody without the trustees' approval would be a violation and probably should be held in contempt again. But that's neither here nor there. But when we looked at this guy's background, it was actually pretty interesting because I was so confused with the person. Now, again, this is background that was found on open source. We can't confirm or deny the credentials that he has. But if we look at his background, this is actually a pretty impressive background if it is in fact accurate. He is a graduate of the JFK School of Business of Harvard University, the St. Thomas University School of Law, an LLM. I mean, hey, I don't even got an LLM because I didn't want to go back to do another year of school for nobody. The program in intercultural human rights and a graduate of the School of Police Staff and Command of Northwestern University. He has a distinguished recognition of being one of the few law enforcement trainers in the country to attend these prestigious, recognized, combined academic programs. Finally, Daryl Stroud diversified experience also includes chairman of Aunt Martha's Health and Wellness, president for the Police Training Institute, alumni of Champaign, University of Illinois, Champaign, and he has also been appointed by Governor of Illinois, appointed to the governor to the Illinois Law Enforcement Training and Standards Board, and most recently he has been in the Doctrine and into National Law Enforcement Hall of Fame. Okay, I don't know what the T is on this guy, but let's give him the benefit of the doubt and say that everything in this bio is in fact true. Why the fudge would someone with, and I'll tell you, for a law enforcement officer, these credentials are amazing. There are persons who get law degrees who go into law enforcement, but it's very, very rare. It's normally few and far between that you see it. And one of the reasons is that you could just command a higher salary as a practicing attorney as you can of being a cop and growing to be detective and all of these other things. So it confuses me as to why someone with these credentials would ever associate themselves with Tiffany Henyard. I think that's something that just, if we take all of his credentials as he's articulated them in this bio is true, that's kind of crazy. Again, this is his certification date. He had time as the Harvey Police Department, Chicago Heights Park District PD, Phoenix Police Department, University Park Police Department. These are all of his tenures. I see the longest one was in Chicago Heights Park District from 2017 to 2020. No, then he got another one from 92 to 2015. So he has some long tenures. The more recent ones appear shorter. I don't know. I don't think that's uncommon with his role. With his background, he can pivot and do something that's not law enforcement related, but bring someone who has the eyes to look at legal concepts and have that law enforcement background. So these shorter times aren't as ridiculous because he can do consulting. Like he would probably make a fucking killing in consulting. But it's interesting as to why someone with this background would in fact associate themselves with Tiffany Henyard. And then after this happened, it never got brought up again. I didn't see a media outlet cover it. I actually tried to see if there were any stories that covered it. I found things in Facebook chat that covered it, but I'm assuming maybe he was like, "I'll take it" or "I'll do it." Maybe she could have threw his name out there and he had no clue. Let's just be honest. She threw people names were thrown in the lawsuits that they weren't even they weren't even a part of because she could have just threw his name out there and unbeknownst to him, he didn't know it happened. Or he could have said, "Okay, yeah, I'll be gracious to take this nomination." And then he looked and was like, "Oh, fuck no, I don't want to be a part of this shit show." It's a little bit confusing as to. Okay, let's see. He hasn't been back since Tuesday. He does have complaints and lawsuits against him also. Every law enforcement officer is going to have complaints and lawsuits against them. That's just the nature of the work. That might be a good show. That's a good idea. I appreciate that, family. What I might do is I think that's a good idea. What I might do is take a look at Mr. Stroud, pull up some of his cases, and then we can see. That's when you can tell what type of cop someone is by the type of lawsuits and allegations surrounding them. So that's what I'll do. I appreciate that, co-counsel. I'll take a look at that. I'll take a look at that and see what cases we can find regarding Daryl Stroud and see if we can get an idea of the type of work he's been doing as a law enforcement. Yeah, she still got the business. I mean, they married. And if they had a business beforehand and he's not operating it, the business didn't go anywhere. Let's see. Man, some people just love that cop shit, man. Like some people love that cop stuff. Like I low key wanted to. I've never wanted to be a cop, but I would have enjoyed being a detective. But I was like, to be a detective, you gotta be a cop first. I'm not about to do that shit. Not with 100. When I had $109,000 of student loan, and a cop was like, "Hey, we paid cops in DC or something crazy, like $37,000 or something low." Man, I ain't about to get shot at for that low. If I got shot at for a lower wage as a soldier. I'm tired of getting shot at for low wages. That was my backup plan. If I wouldn't have passed the bar exam, if I didn't pass a bar exam, I was gonna go join. Isn't that BlackRock? I was gonna go to Blackwater. It's like a private security company in Iraq and Kuwait, and they make a shitload of money. That was gonna be my backup plan. I was just gonna go do that for a year, come back, pay off my crib. I was gonna just do it a year on and a year off. But luckily, hey, I passed the bar, so I didn't have to do that. But there are some people who get law degrees and they actually go into law enforcement. I know a lot of people who are like special agents in federal government, maybe with the Alphabet Boys, FBI, DEA, and they are attorneys, but they just love that law enforcement shit. They love kicking down doors and doing all that shit. Like, nah, I'm good on that, fam. Like, I don't know. Early on, I probably would have been amenable to it, but I actually tried to be like a federal agent. They was like, "Nah, bruh." They was like, "Nah, bruh, you good." So I was like, okay, it is what it is. But yeah, that's actually not uncommon. Let's see. There's several issues of misuse of time, excessive force, and other info. Okay. I, I'm not gonna say that as a cop, like as a cop, I don't know. I think all cops, when you've been doing it long enough, and I'm not saying that his allegations of excessive force are legit or substantiated. But being a police officer, when you do that shit long enough, you're going to get an excessive force beef at some point in time. Yeah, we definitely touched on that, Jay, and it was a great point. Yeah, if you went to Harvard and you associating yourself with Tiffany Henyard, like you maybe went to, like, I don't know, like it may have been a Harvard certificate program, but that's actually fucking crazy. That would be crazy. Yeah. We seen Christopher Clark in a few of our stories we did before. So yeah, that's a good idea. I'm gonna look up some of his cases and we're gonna take a deep dive into a couple. I'm gonna pack out maybe 2 of his cases that are the most interesting or most telling of him as an officer, and we'll dive into that. Let's see. The person that said the info was previously in Florida and alleges he worked with him and resigned before he was scheduled to be terminated. Suggested people do a FOIA request on his background. Let's see. That's a good question. That's a good question. Yeah. Hey, shout out to you. Hey, that's a great comment. Hey, yeah, hey, if I don't know, but to go, hey, you hit it on the head. To go from Harvard and having a law degree and all of these things to like saying like, yo, I want to be on a ticket associated with Tiffany Henyard. It just given this. Yeah, that's crazy. Harvard the hoodwink. That's actually, hey, that actually would be a dope shirt for Harvard the hoodwink. Yeah. That's why I said. That's why I said. I said let's give him the benefit of the doubt and take his bio as true because, hey, Lori Lightfoot was unable to substantiate or corroborate Tiffany Henyard's education, and a lot of people cap on their education. Like for real, a lot of people lie on their education. Oh, he got an honorary degree. Oh, he got one of them Diddy degrees from Howard. Okay. Okay, cool. I appreciate that, Foxy. Thank you. I'ma definitely check that out. Let me see. I got one more video that I wanted to take a look at before I get out of here. I actually gotta find this one though, so because I didn't save this in my watch later. It should be in my history though. Because I saw it. And this is just an interesting video. Once you start looking up this shit, once you start looking up this stuff, it all just gets into your algorithm. And I've been looking at. Hey, shout out to that Jello remix with that little tweaker remix with Lil Wayne. That shit is crazy. Um, where is it? U.S. aid. Shit, I never. Can't. YouTube's history is not accurate. Sometimes. All right, we got that. We got that. Oh, give me y'all sit tight. Grab a glass of water. I'm trying to find this story. It related to the. Yeah. Here you go. Here you go. I had to look for it. My bad. And yeah, I'm sure y'all familiar with this channel. Um, it's an interesting. It's an interesting name. Interesting name. So I'm gonna play this video. The channel I got this from is Dear Woke Christian. Oh. How did- Oh yeah, this dude Sir Cap a lot. So he probably capping. That's fair. You know, hey, your boy. Man, y'all be on y'all investigative shit. Like y'all, for real talk, y'all need to go audit government agencies to see if they're effective in that. Cause y'all be on y'all shit. She wasn't. That's wow. That's funny. That's true. If you went to a school, you would not make that mistake. If you went to a school, you would not make that mistake. He resigned from the firm. Yeah. Could you imagine being at the law firm and they send you out to do all the hood shit? I quit too. I'd be like, man, why y'all keep sending me out here to deal with this hood booger shit? Like, no, I didn't go to law school to be out here watching a bunch of people act like buffoons. Like, so I definitely agree. This next video is from a Dear Woke Christian. It goes back to the brawl. I saw this and I'm sure y'all knew about this before I did because y'all know about before I do. What? That's not what. Let's close this out. We don't care about Diddy in day 26. All right, this is the one we want. Let's make. All right, let's share this. All right, Dear Woke Christian. I thought this was hilarious. Dear Woke Christian, I'm sure y'all familiar with his YouTube channel, but this is where I first saw this. And then we just taking a pivot back because I saw it. I thought it was interesting. We talking about knife talk, the allegations that there were a knife there. And he kind of mirrored some of the same things that I said. But I found this interesting one that, like, I don't know. Let's just watch it and talk about
In the social media reaction genre, silly comments are considered especially heinous. At Dear Woke Christian, the dedicated content creators who investigate these horrible comments are members of an elite squad known as the Dusty Comments Unit. These are their stories.
I like that.
Y'all, shout out to the plug. Thank you so much for this video. Okay, this is from a radio station, intellectualradio.com. I'm not familiar with this, but apparently they're in Chicago. And a host is talking about Tiffany Henyard in context of the Thornton Township throwdown. I just want to ask you a question in the chat or in the comment section. Let me know if you remember that brouhaha, that dust up. If you remember that, and can you tell me, was there anybody injured? And by injured, I mean like bloodied, cut, lacerated, stabbed, inserted with a sharp metal device?
Inserted with a
Did
sharp
any
metal
of that
device.
happen? Do you remember any of that during that? Because surely if that happened, there would have been police report and there would have been somebody arrested. And of course, we all talked about the fact that nobody was arrested. Listen to this story, y'all. Listen to this story.
As everyone knows, Mayor Tiffany Henyard is my friend, my homegirl. Okay, like my friend before she was mayor, she came down to my job. We became friends. I have nothing against her. Well, I watched a video last week where Tiffany Henyard was verbally assaulted at her job. Someone talked under her clothes, called her a whore and a bad mama, and said all kind of stuff. And
okay,
I about to say, what is I guess I'm taking my context clues. Talked her under her clothes. That's just like a phrase for talking shit about him, right? I'm assuming.
Let's stop for a second. Call her a bad mom. Yeah, he did that. Called her a WH. Yeah, I mean, he said that. I mean, he did, in fact, say that. So I'm not denying that at all. I don't know what talked under the clothes means. I don't know if that's a term. I'm totally missing that. But let us continue.
And then a brawl ensued. So because Tiffany is my homegirl, I called her and I'm like, girl, are you okay? What?
Listen to this story.
What's up? She said that this attacker actually had a knife and he was stabbing and cutting them during this brawl.
I'm gonna back that up because you didn't hear that. You didn't hear that right.
Actually had a knife and he was stabbing and cutting them during this brawl.
somebody was being lacerated, inserted with a sharp object during the Thornton Township throwdown. Okay. Okay.
Her boyfriend's face and neck were cut, and a guy that was with them had his hands cut.
Let me just make sure I got this right.
Why do I'm confused? Let me see. Clearly, none of this is true, because if a knife was out in that big ass melee, we already talked about it. People would have been really fucked up if a knife was actually out. But this sister here, the lady who did the Tiffany Henyard interview on WVON, like, I'm so confused. Why do people? I don't know. I guess I don't know. I'm so confused. Why do people who say ridiculous things that aren't fact based even have platforms? But I guess I mean, that's a stupid question. But I don't understand why they even have platforms to put out this something that anybody can see if they actually had eyes was in fact true. The other thing is both the WVON lady and this lady are saying that Tiffany Henyard is their friend. Y'all not fucking Tiffany Henyard friend. Because I'm telling y'all right now, if I'm your friend and you come to me like, yo, this is what happened, and I saw the video that clearly annotates. Well, what's up? I'm on a live. What's good? Oh, hey. You all right? You straight? Yeah, I hit you up once I'm done. Everything good though? All right. Give me a second. I'll hit you up and we'll chat. All right. Love you too. Bye. That's my daggone son calling. But if someone is in fact your friend, it's your job as their friend to try to, one, tell them when they're doing something stupid, and not put them in a position where they can look even more stupid. And by regurgitating this same dumbass story that can clearly be disproven, you aren't doing your friend any service. Yeah. Oh, okay. Ah, that makes sense. Okay. Hey, shout out to you. I never heard that one before. Okay, I got it now. I got it. Wasn't nobody stabbing in that, because the scars that were on her boyfriend was because he was getting an ass whipping. Her and Tiffany are both from the west side of Chicago. I don't give a. That's crazy. We don't believe you. I always say that too, but people cap it. Yeah. No knife, just a microphone. Facts. These people shouldn't have a platform to talk on. Let's see. The funniest part with Tiff not letting them do Zoom is that she could have appointed a trustee a long time ago. Yep, I agree. We talked about that as well. She kicked her own self in the ass in hindsight. All right, let's finish going through this video. But this lady isn't doing her friend any disservice by regurgitating a stupid ass story.
She could see from 15, 20 feet away through a sea of people that there was a weapon being used, being swung around. So she runs out there into the fray where a weapon was being wielded. And her boyfriend's face and neck were cut, and somebody else's hands were cut. And there's not one police report that substantiates anything that was said. Okay. So make sure I had it right.
Now, I'm not saying that Tiffany was in the right, because Tiffany shouldn't have got out of her seat. However, we are now noticing a trend of people.
Oh, wait. Okay. So listen to what the trend is. This one right here was like, what in the world? How did you get here? I did not expect her to go here.
We talked about this before when we talked about Mayor Kobi early on before we got here. And every time, it never fails. Anytime someone in the public eye does some shit that they shouldn't do, the immediate thing that they go for is their argument of being attacked. They're gonna pull out their blackness, they're gonna pull out their woman card. I fucking hate that shit. Like, oh man, they're attacking me because I'm this or that. No, they attacking you because you full of shit. That's real talk. Why people are attacking you. They aren't coming after you because of who you are. They're coming after you for how you conduct yourself and the goofy shit you're doing.
How did you get here? I didn't listen to what the trend is. This one right here was like, what in the world? How did you get here? I did not expect her to go here, where she's about to go with this conversation. I'm gonna back up just a little bit so we can get a running start. I wasn't prepared for this. Let's go.
A trend of people attacking Black female politicians at work. We had Emma Mitz, who was manhandled and pushed by Carlos Rosa at City Hall. Now we got Tiffany being verbally assaulted at her job out there in Thornton Township.
So 2 instances. And that's a trend. You can plot that on a line graph and show a trend, an increasing trend.
Tiffany has a couple of friends with big.
I feel sorry for these people because they are willing participants in Tiffany Henyard's lies and deceit. And she's actually embellished the lies and deceit by going on about this being attacked scenario. But let's go.
People are talking about Tiffany and saying that Lori went out there to do an investigation, but based on Lori's investigation findings, she specifically says that this is not a criminal investigation. So Lori did not go out there to do a criminal investigation. She went out there to do an audit. Tiffany is the victim of a smear campaign. And for that reason.
Is she though? Is she really? Is she really? I agree. Lori came to do an audit. There was no legally binding anything that were done. Got you. It did tell the FBI and other agencies that are looking where to look for sure. But let's let her finish this up because this is really interesting.
This week, we are having a press conference for Tiffany out there in Dalton for Black women. Participate or not. I don't need you to tell me what I need to do or not need to do, because at the end of the day, we cannot have it that people think it's okay to attack Black women in power. If I got a political seat, I don't want nobody to come to my job and cuss me out and throw me around and bring knives to stab me up.
This shit crazy. I don't even want to finish playing it because I'm tired of hearing her. But it's absolutely crazy that these people have a platform to be exactly what you said. Loud and wrong, 100%. Let's see. No blood, no ambulance. It's absolutely ridiculous. Let me see. I mean, I don't know. That shit is just absolutely crazy. Let's see. What's going to be her story when the alphabet boy? I don't know. It's definitely going to be post-election, and it's going to be beautiful. When that happens, I'm telling you, the day that because I already know y'all going to let me know. The day that she gets that an indictment comes out, oh man, I'm gonna leave work immediately. I could be in court and I'm be like, I got a family emergency. I got a family emergency because y'all my family. I got a family emergency. I gotta go, Your Honor. I'm leaving. I'm live streaming on my phone initially off the break to get the reaction, and I can't wait to pull that fucking indictment up. We gonna go through that shit with a fight. That's gonna be one of the ones where you gotta get your popcorn ready. Let me see. That shit is crazy that they have a plan. The other thing is, I don't want to say this to sound misogynistic, ladies, and don't take this as me being a misogynist, because I think it cuts both ways, right? Okay. We do not. Okay. Hey, all right, Miss King. Yeah, we the delegation of professional Black women do not claim Tiffany nor her minions. Facts. Mm-hmm. So this is my thing. Like, have y'all ever been in a relationship, right? Because I don't know, this is kind of my initial thought. My initial thought was like, yo, where's her man at? Now don't come for me. But I was like, where the fuck is her man at, right? You ever been in a relationship and your significant other, your boyfriend, your girlfriend, your spouse are talking to you about something, right? This is what happens. They talking to you about something. We've all been in this situation. I've been in this situation. They talking to you about something, and after they explain it to you, like, yeah, the person you with is kind of should be, unless they goofy and kind of crazy too, should be like the voice of reason. Like, that's not making any sense. Stay out of those people business, right? like I felt like at some point somebody should have said, like, that's what a spouse, a significant other, a girlfriend is for. You go home and have pillow talk. So I'm sure you go home and be like, yo, Tiff told me that, like, they were stabbing and they had the shank out there and somebody had a razor blade under their tongue. Like, they go tell this whole story. Then they probably sat there and watched the video on the phone together. Like, I don't know. Maybe she don't got anybody, but I've been in that situation where you listen to, like, your girl tell you a story, and after they tell you the story, they tell you what they gonna do. Like, no, because what I'm gonna do, and you like, nah, that sounds kind of crazy. Why don't you just stay out those people business? So it could have been some podcast payola where, hey, go on this platform and just put my version of the facts out there. That could have been an option, but I don't know. It seemed like shout out to having somebody in your life who stop you from doing something stupid. Like, we all should have somebody who stop us from doing something stupid. She might have had anybody to talk to, but that's kind of crazy. Like, I don't know. I've probably been in that situation. I've been in that situation where I've said, like, I understand what you're saying, and I know that's your homegirl, but, like, you should probably sit this one out. Like, sit this one out and just let them people deal with their shit unilaterally on their own. I don't know. It's kind of ridiculous. That's funny. I got my calendar marked for the perp walk. Let's see. He took a lower pay? Interesting. That's interesting. Let's see. Come on, my Lord. Y'all are funny. Yeah, that's crazy. Going to a check cashing place is wild as a mayor. Like, if you go to a check cashing place, you might be, I don't know. Yeah, that's giving shady. I'm gonna be honest. Going to a check cashing place as a mayor is kind of crazy work. A family emergency. Yeah, I'm gonna be like, because I already know what's gonna happen. See, I got my phone here, right? And somebody gonna send me an email. I know it's gonna be one of y'all high speed people and be like, yo, they arrested her. And it's gonna be like a link or something. And I'm gonna just be like, and it's gonna go off. And I'm not gonna look at my phone if I'm sitting at the desk. I can't look at my phone, but I look at my watch. I'll be like, I'm gonna stand up, be like, Your Honor, if the court is inclined to grant a brief 5-minute recess, then I'm gonna step outside and look and be like, oh shit. I'll be like, it's going down. And once I got it's going down, I'll be like, shout out to whoever judge I'm in front of. Don't watch this video. I'm gonna be like, Your Honor, understanding that we are supposed to be arguing this motion today, I have a family emergency that I need to tend to. So I'm going to ask if we can continue this matter for tomorrow. And judge is going to be like nobody going to ask, what's the family emergency? I'll be like, if he asks what's the family emergency, I'm like, fuck. Like, don't ask me what the family emergency is, but whatever it is, I got to find a way to get out. And I'm going to have one of them cameras in my car so I can just ride and talk about it as I'm on the way home. And they come and y'all gonna literally see me in the live stream on my phone as I sit down here and start. That's actually, you know what? That's actually what y'all just gave me a good idea. I appreciate. Shout out to y'all for always giving me a good idea. I'm gonna go ahead and do the thumbnail now. I'm gonna go ahead and do the thumbnail now. So when it's time to go live, I don't got to sit there and try to create the thumbnail or do all this extra shit. I'm going to do the thumbnail now because over here, you know, we do all of our own editing and shit over here. But that's exactly what I'm going to do. Yeah. I'm a pit bull in a skirt. Also, he called me a bitch. Yeah, but the term pit bull in a skirt is a term of endearment in the hood, thanks to Eve. Like, you know, we saw Eve those early days in Rough Rider, and we was like, vicious. Like, no. Yeah, but I get your point though. Fair point. But yeah. Prep it up. Facts. High speed, right? I'm gonna have the thumbnail. I'm gonna do the thumbnail and I'm gonna put it on the community page. Y'all let me know. I'm gonna do a couple. I'm gonna do like a couple of thumbnails. I'm thinking of one like superimposing her face on somebody who got on cuffs or somebody. But I'm gonna do a couple of thumbnails, and y'all vote on which thumbnail is better to use for when the big day comes. But I don't know. I feel terrible that there's people out there who got platforms, whether or not their foreheads are big or not. They got these platforms where they could just clearly pass out misinformation. I mean, like, hey, I'm not an official media outlet, but I do try my best to make sure that things are factually correct. And sometimes I get shit wrong, and y'all will correct me on it. Now say, oh, okay, I see where that is factually wrong, and I want to make sure that things are factually accurate. So I don't know. It's just kind of a shit show. But yo, that's it for this live, man. I think that's everything that I had to cover. Hey, before we leave out, hey, rest in peace to Irv Gotti. That dude passed away at 50, 53, 55, whatever it was. It was young as hell. I was a Murder Inc. guy back in my younger days. Hey, shout out to Murder Inc. They made R&B. Murder Inc. made it cool. Well, I ain't gonna say Murder Inc. did it. I think was it Method Man and Mary J. Blige who had like the first song where it was like a rapper and an R&B female artist. But you know, hey, rest in peace to Irv Gotti. I don't know, he had a documentary that was on BET. I talked about this on the members only live stream. It was a very interesting documentary on his life and his family, and the guy's he was really, really talented. He was really, really talented. I'm gonna make sure my daughter stay home for school that day, so I can be like, my daughter not feeling well. So then it's not a fabrication to the court. It's I'm being truthful to the tribunal. That's interesting. That's a good idea. That is a good idea. The judge gonna be like, "Hey, I saw your shit, man. Like, hey, they locked her. They locked her ass up. Go ahead, do your thing." I'm like, I appreciate you, Judge, for letting me get out and do my thing. The judge gonna get the same text message. Yeah, he was talented. The most talented thing that he did. It's gonna be great. Yeah. Oh man, when Tiff go, yeah, it's gonna be like, hey, I'm gonna have to come up with some other shit to do. Hopefully y'all enjoy the other non-Tiffany Henyard stories. So I try to give y'all some non-Tiffany Henyard shit before we get to the meat and potatoes. But if y'all haven't checked it out, check it out. I looked at the Irv Gotti documentary. It was very dope. He interviewed his parents and all the promises he made to his parents as a kid. I know I'm about to wrap up, boy. All the promises he made to his parents as a kid. At one point, he was on top of the music game. Things fell off. And then he said he made himself essentially a deal. He was about to put out an album for Lloyd. And he said, if this album hits #1, I'm going to keep doing music. But if it don't, I'm going to stop. And Lloyd albums dropped. It hit #2. And so he was like, well, it hit #2, so I'm not going. So he started to pivot towards TV. I don't know if you ever seen it. It was on BET. You can find some of the episodes on YouTube. And if you like a subscription, has a subscription to BET, you probably can find it on there. But he had the dopest concept to a show that I ever seen. It was called Tales. And I don't know if you're familiar with it, but he would take a really popular hip hop song, and then that hip hop song, he would make a 30 to 45 minute show based on that hip hop song. It was, I mean, he had old school hip hop songs, and he would make a sitcom, not a sitcom, but he would make a cinematic story based on that particular song. It was amazing. It was songs by younger artists who I'm old. So when you old, you like, I don't want to hear these young whippersnappers, all that mumble rap. But there were songs that he made cinematic representations of. And after I watched this story, I went back and listened to the song, and I was like, oh, this guy isn't actually mumbling. He is actually telling an interesting story. So if y'all haven't got a chance to check that out, Tales by Irv Gotti, it's it is interesting. I think they had maybe 2 or 3 seasons, but it was one of my favorite shows. And I'll be honest, I don't really like watching BET like that. I don't like watching BET like that unless it's like Martin or something like that. But Tales was something that was very, very dope. Hey man, Ja Rule. Nah, the best song ever was the J-Lo song. What was the song? Was it Mesmerized? No. It was the song where J-Lo was talking about Ain't It Funny? It was the remix to Ain't It Funny. The remix to Ain't It Funny, that shit was fire. He actually talked about that in a documentary because that's the reason that that was the reason that I think he said that him and J-Lo kind of fell off. But hey, shout out to my guy, the Pocket Watcher with JT. Yo, I left a comment on one of your videos, bro. The last one you did, I do live streams on the day that you do videos, so I gotta watch the shit on the replay. But yo, y'all go check out my guy Pocket Watcher with JT. If you aren't subscribed, get familiar, check him out. Great content. He is actually certified to give financial advice and do tax planning. So he's not just somebody out here capping, faking like they jumping off a plane when the doors was closed, saying that they doing shit. So y'all make sure to go check him out. But he did a great live stream, and he had a trial. He had the full video of a trial of a sovereign citizen trying to argue to the court why the sovereign citizen was trying to argue to the court that he used funds that the government has in his name to pay his bills. It was the funniest thing that I've ever seen. And it was actually interesting. I actually might do a video of it because I got a story about when I first encountered my first sovereign citizen as a defense attorney. It was the most ridiculous shit I've ever seen. But shout out to him. Definitely a great content creator. Y'all make sure y'all go and check that out. I can't tell you how many times I've been babysitting a kid. Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Yeah, like Irv and Jay-Z, he talked about him and Jay-Z went to do a tour on like when they were like 16 in Europe. It was a really dope documentary. Yeah. Yo, all right, I'm about to jump off of here. I appreciate that's funny. Yeah. I'm real with Ja Rule. Yeah, nah. Ain't It Funny? The remix with Ja Rule and hey, that song fire. Like that song was fire. Hey, let's just give it respect. Yeah. Hey, I appreciate it. I'm out of here. I gotta run and get something to eat and take this dog out before he get mad at me. Yo, y'all be safe, be blessed, have a good weekend. Enjoy the Super Bowl tomorrow. I think Kansas City going 3-peat. It is what it is. I think that Patrick Mahomes may be the best quarterback that we'll ever see in the history of the game. Y'all take care. Be blessed, y'all.